Right, it's recording. So, hi everyone. So, this is the Shine podcast. I'm here with DALLEY, and I'm Marcus Morris from Marcus Morris Personal Training. So, DALLEY, just introduce yourself and tell us a bit about you.
Yes, I'm DALLEY, Simon DALLEY, but everyone calls me DALLEY from Grow Traffic. Grow Traffic is a digital marketing agency. I set it up originally as my freelance SEO consultancy, and it's grown to a kind of small agency of 8 people, but small but growing, award-winning. So that's who I am and what I do. We focus on SEO though, which is increasing the traffic to websites by helping them to rank better in search engines like Google.
Brilliant. Thank you for that, by the way. So, what are the kind of challenges that you've had to face with running your own business, and how did you overcome them? Did they affect you? Like, I can imagine some of the stuff that you've already told me. Well, it sounded pretty stressful. So,
yeah, I think what I call Grow Traffic as it is now, Grow Traffic version 5. So Grow Traffic's kind of 12 years old in some ways and 4 years old in other ways, and I'll explain that in a minute. But there's been, over the years, it's grown, it's contracted, it's changed. Different people have come and gone, and you have all those difficulties that go with that. You think that the business is going strong at one point, and then it kind of drops off a cliff, and you can't quite bring it back. And especially because I set this up as a freelance business, what you probably call now a side hustle, but that I don't think that existed back then. We kind of grew it, and then there was a shock to our industry when Google made some huge updates in like 2012-13, which dramatically changed the industry. We contracted a bit. During that time, I was concentrating on my career as well, which was starting to take off. At the same time, my wife, Rachel, who now works for Grow Traffic, but at this time she was suffering from a chronic back condition, which is episodic in nature. It gives her episodic kind of pain. Well, gives her permanent chronic pain, but it becomes it's episodic in that the pain increases over certain periods. And we were just moving into a new house as well, moving to a new area at this point. There was a few difficulties there in terms of the way that just trying to keep motivated to keep the business going at this point, especially because we'd had certain setbacks a year or two before, and I was probably at that point still rebuilding it. Then Rachel was medically retired from her job at the NHS because they accepted that she was unable to kind of sit in a chair for any long periods of time. She couldn't be there. She certainly couldn't sit down for a 9-to-5 job. So at this point, we kind of built Grow Traffic back up a little bit, not to where it had been before, but it had been built back up. And Rachel started working for Grow Traffic in about February, March 2014. And that's when the fun really began, because at this point, Rachel and I figured out that we couldn't really work together very well. So we had a little while where we had to figure out ways of communicating with each other about work things, and it was difficult and stressful, and it put additional pressures on and changed the dynamic of our relationship, both our working relationship and our marriage, I suppose. And that's difficult. Working with family is difficult. Later on, my sister-in-law came into the business, so I continue. Which I'll tell you about that story in a minute. But I continued to kind of work in corporate marketing. Worked in Manchester for a long time, and the business kind of kept going, kept growing. Rachel, you see, I had a certain problem with the kind of clients that we had. So I was running this business as a part-time kind of business in the background, and I had a national client base. I had was clients in Scotland, there was clients in London, you know, across the UK, and they all were demanding my time. So I was getting up really early in the morning, doing some work before I went to work, and then I'd be trying to take the odd call maybe during the day, or trying to call people back up at lunchtime. I was often sat in my car with my laptop out, doing work at lunchtime, trying to answer emails and things, which isn't ideal. Then getting home, having dinner with the family, and then kind of working for a bit longer. And it was getting too much. And also clients kind of expect that you will go and see them every now and then, that you will, you know, jump in a car or jump on a train and go and meet them face to face. Well, they certainly did back then, which is probably like 8 years ago now. And Rachel found a very similar thing when she started working for Grow Traffic, was that not only was national client base difficult, but because she was a working mother with a chronic back condition, she found it, you know, equally difficult that she was being pulled in all directions from our different clients all around the place. So we kind of made the decision that she'd start building a local client base, and she started networking around Rosendale. And it was really beneficial to both the business, but to Rachel as well, because that we'd moved into a new area, moved into Rosendale, and she was, you know, it was one of the best ways to get to know a lot of people in the local area. So that really helped, and I think that helps. You know, when you are talking to other business owners about the trials and tribulations of running a business, it's much less lonely, because it can be quite lonely if you're just on your own, just trying to work out what you should be doing, how to keep it going. That kind of, you know, there's a kind of ever-present recognition that this could all fall over in a few days, you know.
Yeah. So far you've struggled with stress. You've struggled with the stress of like learning to communicate and working alongside your wife. You've struggled with, like, well, obviously, like you've had the pressure of starting your own business and stuff like that at the same time as having your son on the way. Flipping it, like, do you know, like when you think back about it, all the challenges and all the stuff that you've had to overcome and stuff.
Yeah, I think there's certain things that I wish I'd kind of done differently. I wish that there were a number of points during this journey where I could have started working on Grow Traffic myself full time. And I think that because of certain situations, because of my perceived role as maybe the breadwinner in the household, and that kind of masculine role, if you like, probably made me hesitate at every opportunity for quite a long time that I had to take the business full time. You know, I kind of hesitated and didn't get on with it. I think part of the reason there's built into that kind of fear of failure, but also the understanding the consequences, because I was essentially, you know, keeping everything afloat for a long time.
Yeah. So there's a lot there for people that are watching or that might see this in the future and say, like, you know, there's a lot for them to take from that. I feel, because I'd imagine that there's some people that are watching and they're in similar situations. Maybe they're wanting to start a side hustle, but they've also got a kid on the way, or, you know, they might be trying to give a job to the wife and stuff like that. I think that'll be definitely beneficial for other people.
Good. It's hard. I mean, without a doubt, Leon, my son Leon, when I kind of decided to set Grow Traffic up basically a week before he was born. So he was the, you know, the impending arrival of my son, definitely motivating factor. And I think for me, you know, kind of being married, providing both for myself and for other people is a factor that helps me focus a little bit, or gives me a bit of drive in some way. Helps me to, I think, to do bigger things.
So do you think you're one of them people that work well under pressure?
Certain kinds of pressure I work well under. I can fall to pieces sometimes as well. I think it really depends on where my mental state is at any one particular time. If I find myself procrastinating a lot, then I won't work well under pressure. But sometimes, you know, I like anybody, I can procrastinate, or I can just get down and do things. And especially when I have previously experienced something and I just know that I can do it, and I just put my head down and put my shoulder to the wheel, if that's the right term, right phrase.
Yeah, just get back to the grind, sort of thing. What's your best habits then for maintaining or improving mental health?
I'm in no way a perfect person when it comes to my own mental health, managing it, the rest of it. You know, I do have anxiety, I do suffer with stress, I get depressed, I fixate on random things and create narratives based on my perception of situations that probably don't align with what's really happening in the world. So I do all these things, and I struggle. I mean, I've got certain things in place. I've got training, which I, you know, go to the gym or work with yourself to try and make sure that I'm active as a part of kind of controlling that mental kind of well-being aspect. And the reason that I started working with you was your focus on your mind strong working kind of sessions, the use of strength and the use of focusing on different muscle groups to start to deal with certain issues. And also just, you know, the conversations that we have are beneficial, and that's an important part of what you do. You know, sometimes we don't even really do a workout, we just talk things through, which is cool. And I get a lot from that. So that's one thing that I've got in place. Over the last kind of year and a half, I've also done CBT, and there was some really handy hints and tips in there, some that we'd spoken about already, some tools. I try to use breathing techniques to calm things down when I start to realize that I'm getting anxious. I think one of the problems is that often when you're stressed out, when you're slightly depressed, when you've got cyclical thought processes that aren't quite taking you in a positive direction, it's difficult to realize that you are in that position. You just see the world around you as being wrong because it's the way that you're perceiving the world around you. You don't. It takes a while, or it takes a moment of realization that it's you and not the world. And an example of this actually for me happened a few months ago, where I had been having these kind of cyclical kind of negative thought processes, and I was just trying to fix every situation that I came up against and that I was getting worked up about, if you like. And I realized after one particular incident, and I thought to myself, I fixed the thing that I was fixated on. I've made it better. So what am I doing now? Moving on to something else. And I just saw it, and I had this kind of moment of realization that all I've done is focus my fixation on a different thing.
So changing the perspective.
Well, what I mean is that my negative perception had shifted from one thing to the next, and every time I fixed something, I'd found something else to be negative about, to blame almost. And
All
it
right.
took a
Okay.
moment of kind of realization, and I think that's kind of how it has to be. It's and somebody's tried to talk to me about this before, and I think it was only the fact that I had recognized it myself for the first time that I was able to talk to somebody about it and actually start to deal with that. Like I say, it's not, I'm in no way fixed, but I'm better than I was.
Yeah, good. It's always a good sort of position to be in then. Have you ever tried cold showers?
Do you know what? I tried to have a cold. You told me about this, and I tried to
Yeah.
have a cold shower. Must have been about 3 days ago. I meant to message you. I've done it. I didn't
So,
like it.
so like it's basic. Well, just for the viewers that maybe haven't heard of it or haven't tried it or whatever, the idea is that to get in a cold shower, you have to like focus and you have to like drive yourself because you know it's gonna you know it's gonna be cold, you know it's gonna be unpleasant and stuff like that. So for you to push through that and then like stay in the cold shower. So if I have a cold shower, I stay in it for at least 3 minutes. I set my timer on my phone, and if my timer goes off, but I've not finished washing myself and washing my hair and that, then I finish that, and then or if I have, I've rushed it because it's cold, then just then I stay in until the timer goes off. And there's other benefits of it as well. So is that it's supposed to help with the oxidation in the blood. So that what that means is there's more oxygen in the blood, and this will mean that you'll recover faster from training, exercise, all that sort of stuff, and you should be healthier. But I think as well it helps with mental resilience. So when people like have a bit of a setback and they what's the word, like they just basically give up. They have a setback, they give up. I think being able to put yourself and focus and being able to get in that cold shower, I think that massively helps with mental resilience and just that drive to keep going and keep pushing. And I'd absolutely swear by it. So yeah, that's cold showers.
Like I say, I've tried one. I've tried it once, so I probably need quite a few more times to make a habit out.
Yeah, it's definitely like I've not had them since. I've not had a cold shower though. Saying that, I've not had a cold shower since I hurt my leg. So right, and we're 2 weeks in now, so I've not had a cold shower for 2 weeks. So, but yeah, and what does having a goal? Do you know? So you work. Say you've got a goal, and you're working every day towards that goal. Is that beneficial to you, or does that put pressure on you?
It depends what the goal is. I think some goals are. I'm a kind of. I always say that I'm a grand old kind of guy, and that kind of gets me off a lot of hooks in terms of goal setting and planning.
Right.
But I think about kind of long-term goals. I've got kind of long-term goals that I've kind of put in place for myself and for our business. And some of those are but I'm not very strategic really. I've got this kind of, I suppose goals is might not even be the right word. It might be more vision, something like that, with a few ideas of what that looks like. And I always need other people around me to bring things into reality. I'm a good starter. I'll start things. But I always need other people around me to kind of bring things into life.
Oh, it's going crackly.
And finish things off. That's business wise. Personally, I think I've been quite good at and going and making some plan in place to make sure I'm definitively on track to achieving that goal. But I always tend to roughly get to where I want it to get to one way or another. So I think it's important to have goals, aspirations, maybe in life. Maybe that's another way of looking at it. You know, the things that you are going to do. I always think that one of the things that I try and do is tell people what I want to achieve or what I want to do or what my goals are. So even if I've not actually got a plan in place for how I'm going to achieve this goal, I've committed to it. I kind of jokingly say to people that I'm telling them to put it into the universe, so the universe will help me make it happen. But that's kind of me. That's a bit tongue in cheek, really. That really I'm kind of, by telling people, kind of committing something to happen, or to move it in that direction.
Yeah, but then that's going to hold you accountable as well. So I think that's really important, because
I think other people will help you. If you tell people what you want to achieve, other people will remember what you want to achieve, and they will motivate you and encourage you, ask you how it's going, see where things are up to. If they can help in some way, they'll offer their assistance, and that's also important.
Yeah. So for example, like if someone said to me, I want to lose weight, I want to lose this much weight, then I'd set them targets. I'd be like, right, okay, going to lose a stone in a month. And then I'd just keep asking, like, what have you done today? What have you done this week? Have you had any bad times or anything like that and stuff? And just, I think if you know you're going to be held accountable, then you're going to be more likely to be doing things that are going to be of benefit. Whereas if not, then it's a bit easier to kind of like just like take the easy route or just leave it. Oh, I'm not going to go to the gym today, even though it'll benefit you.
Yeah, but I also think there's an argument to not putting too much pressure on yourself to always kind of rigidly hit these goals and targets. It's good to have goals and targets in your personal life and in your professional life, but in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter if you are a couple of pounds or whatever under your target weight, or if you a bit more on, or if you don't, if you're not able to do something that you really want to do. We're not professional athletes. Most of us, we don't need to worry so much about really hitting most of the targets that we set for ourselves. A lot of them are materialistic anyway, and whenever you hit those kind of targets, you always just want more. Yeah. So I think there's and the same, I think, with kind of training, if I want a better word. You can never be finished with it, can you? Really, it's something that it's a long-term, permanent commitment to working on your body, I suppose. That's the
Like I think for me, like, so I've set my targets of, like, so for example, like squatting 180 kilos is a target that I want to achieve by February next year. So, but then I've already thought, well, what's going to happen after I squat 180 kilo? Because I've already done 170, and at one point I just wanted to squat 160. So you squat 160, you squat 170, and then you squat 180. Well, where does it stop? Like there's a constant. So you hit one target, and then you move on to the next, and then you move on to the next. But going back to your point about not being Olympic athletes, 100%. So I think that an ethos or a philosophy that I have is like, sustainability over like results, because if someone's not enjoying the gym, if someone's not enjoying the diet, and then you're asking them to live off chicken and rice and broccoli, but then this person's gone from eating Nando's and McDonald's every single day, it's probably not going to work. So, and then you're only going to create like a lack of adherence. You're only going to create like a bad relationship and bad rapport with the client. So, yeah, like 100% agree with that though.
Yeah, and I think it's the same. It's the same in life, and it's the same in business. You know, you can burn yourself out. You can get so fixated, so overwhelmed by trying to hit goals that you set for yourself, and just by stepping back and thinking, you know, what harm is it if this runs over? What harm is this if it doesn't land? You know, if it doesn't come off the way I thought it was going to. As long as you're moving yourself in the right direction, then that's fine.
Yeah, like I think so. Obviously, you know this, but for the people that are watching, when people come to the gym, we don't just measure the scales. We take the measurements in, like the measurements hips, waist, arms, you know, like legs, fitness tests and stuff, various fitness tests and stuff like that, and progress pictures. The reason we don't just do scales is because you can be making progress in other areas, and if you just focus on the scales, and people are like so fixated on the scales, oh, I need to lose this much weight, and it's like, well, actually, you don't need to lose this much weight, because you might be actually making progress in other areas, and because you're so fixated on the scales, you don't realize it. And the amount of times that I've had people say to me, oh, like, I've not lost any weight, I've not done this, and like, you know, feeling down and demotivated and even a bit stressed out, and you can tell they're getting burnt out. And I'm just like, right, well, let's do your measurements then, let's do your fitness test. And they absolutely obliterate all the fitness test scores, and you know, and then the measurements are completely different. And they're like, but the scales haven't changed. And it's like, well, we're obviously doing something right. And I think that's a kind of, you can't just focus on just one area. Yeah, definitely can't just focus on one area. There's been so many times when I've changed people's perspectives on it.
Yeah.
What was the first time like for you when you were going into the gym then? Like, was you nervous? Was you anxious? Or
No, I don't think I was nervous or anxious, but I've been to a few networking meetings that you were at. I think so. We'd met a few times before that, so kind of. I might have been. I was slightly apprehensive, maybe, but because I didn't know what we were going to do. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know whether we were just going to have a chat in the gym. I didn't know whether we were doing a full first session or no. So I wasn't quite sure what to expect, but that was fine. That's kind of what we did, and we did that first session, and yeah, it was good. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea what the names of any of the exercises were, and you kind of did and still do talk me through all those. Yeah, I have no coordination. I've never had. I'm not very bendy.
yeah, no, I was only asking because everyone knows these days that exercise is good for their mental health and just general well-being. But yeah, there's so many people that get so anxious about going to the gym, and I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on that. And
I like it. I enjoy going to the gym. Actually, it's a nice kind of escape, and I think whilst I could exercise at home, having to go to the gym is just just means that I'm going to definitely do it. There's a time every week where I definitely do some serious kind of working out. Whereas on left to my own devices, it might be a bit half.
Yeah, I can. Well, I can imagine. Like I've been there myself. Like when last year with lockdown, I was in a really bad sort of mental state, and I obviously knew all the benefits of like exercising and working out at home and stuff like that, but I just didn't. Like, I feel a bit like you in the sense that I prefer going to the gym rather than doing home workouts. Um, and the idea of working out at home just did not motivate me at all. I prefer lifting weights. So yeah. What
For me, it's just even this morning, I thought to myself, I was sat there in bed, getting ready to go and have a shower, and I thought, just go and just have it's early enough. I could have half an hour before I have a shower. And so I'd made the connection, I've made the thought process, and then I didn't get my bench out, I didn't go and lift some weights, I just went straight in the shower. So I think it's it's hard to motivate yourself sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. Saying that then, right, have you got like a morning routine? Well, going off that then I guess not, but
I do have a morning routine. I'm not going to say it's a good routine. I tend to wake up around 5:30, and I tend to read the news for quite a long time. So I tend to read the news for a while, and then I get up and have a shower and kind of crack on working. Now, I used to be much better. You used to have a better morning routine, but it's all right at the moment. It works okay, and I think there's a lot of kind of business advice, kind of pseudoscience about getting up early in the morning, get like 5 o'clock or 4:30 or something, and doing a workout and reading some business books and planning your day out and answering emails and all the rest of it. And it works for some people, but the majority of people can't do that. That's people who've got kids that have to go to school. Before we got on this call, I had to check that my little boy had his school clothes ready, and Rachel is on another networking call at the moment. So balancing all those things, it doesn't work for everyone. That's all well and good if you no other responsibilities to deal with during that time, or if you can make that time fit.
yeah, I think that's an important point as well, because like say for example, like going back to what you were saying about starting your own business and stuff as well. Say someone's starting their own business and they've got all the sort of problems that you had and that, and at the start are the sort of challenges that you had to deal with, and then you're trying to get them to wake up at 4:30 in the morning to do a workout. I don't think that 4:30 workout's like going to be going down too well, and definitely don't think it's very sustainable.
So I've not been out running for a while, but I used to enjoy every few days going out for like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, putting an hour in there. And I'm going to have to get back out this summer. Put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, well, today is absolutely glorious at being like a waste.
And I think whilst, because I did a bit last year, when we were on lockdown last time, but I think that I've probably just got into a bad habit of head down work. And I've noticed like yesterday, I do the hoovering on Wednesdays and Sundays, and I've not done the hoovering yet yesterday. So and that was just because I just spent the whole day working.
Yeah,
Which isn't necessarily the right way to go about things, and that's not good. That's after a while. That's what I do. So I have this cycle actually of I'm good. I'm doing all my chores. I'm keeping everything tidy. I'm doing all these things. I'm involved in community and family and friends and all the rest of it. And then my focus gets narrower and narrower until I'm just getting up in the morning, doing my work, finishing late, going to bed, and repeat the next day. And then I burn out, and then I kind of reset. So I'm at that point now where I need to recognize that I've started to overwork, and I need to probably make sure I'm doing all those other things. But Leon and I are going camping on Saturday, so I'm taking a few days off, which should be good.
Yeah, brilliant. Definitely get out in the wilderness and stuff. What's your favorite quote?
Favorite quote? Probably attitude is a little thing that makes a big difference, by Churchill. Yeah, that always sticks in my mind. And I think that helps to think about that when you're struggling kind of with your mental well-being and mental health, because often your perception of the world is not just often, always, your perception of the world is all you've got. Your circumstances are absorbed and perceived through your filters, and you can change what that filter is, or you can recognize what that filter is and what that filter is doing to the way that you perceive the world, and then start to change it. So yeah, I think so.
One that's worked really well for me during this sort of like these past 2 weeks where I've hurt my leg is like, the harder the battle, the sweeter the victory. So I set myself the goal of squatting 180 kilo, deadlifting 220, and bench pressing 120. So obviously with me hurting my leg now, the idea of me squatting 180 kilo and deadlifting 220 is like, it seems like a million miles away right now, but I'm further on than what I was 2 weeks ago. And the consultant said that I wouldn't be doing anything for like 6 to 8 weeks. Well, I was in the gym last night, just stretching it out, just feeling those sort of movements and seeing what I can and can't do. And then I'm just going to build it up from there. But yeah, if I was to sort of just sit and lie down now and just be like, oh, well, I'm done. I'm going to give up on it. That'll be it. Like I'll be straight like back into a bad mental state. And that goal that I keep trying to work towards is what it gives me a focus.
Yeah, and I know that you were planning to do the powerlifting competition at a specific time next year, weren't you?
Yeah.
And I suppose this injury might kind of set you back on that. But in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't hugely matter if you don't achieve that one, as long as you're still working towards the next one.
Yeah, well, like I mean, like even if I don't hit those targets, like, well, do you know, like there's nothing really bad that's going to happen, is there?
Yeah, exactly.
Like there's nothing really bad that's going to happen. Like the target's still going to be there. I can still keep working towards it, and yeah, it just is what it is.
Good things are happening. Only good things are happening because you're improving your fitness, you're improving your strength, you're doing something that's going to hopefully help with your mental well-being. So all these things are good things, really. And that, like you said about the, what was the quote that you just said about victory being the sweetest thing? That's not what you said, is it?
The harder the battle, the sweeter the victory.
There you go. So the end result, will be even better for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like this is like, like I'd banked everything on this goal, and then it's like, I was like a bit down. I've shed a tear and stuff like that about it, and I felt like some days I felt exactly how I did in lockdown. Like isolated from everyone, not being able to go to the gym, like just like I was so stressed out some days and stuff, and like, but at the end of the day, like, you know, like, just keep going. Like, the harder the battle, the sweeter the victory. And at the minute, this is the hardest bit of the battle. And then once I'm back in and I'm able to squat and start training again, and like I was in last night and I was doing my bench press, and I thought my bench press would be really weak because I've not properly eaten over these past 2 weeks. Like, I just couldn't get up to get to the fridge, couldn't stand up to be able to like cook the food and stuff. So I've ate like a lot of shit these past 2 weeks, and sorry for swearing. Um, and yeah, so I went into the gym last night and I'm like, I did another PB. Like, I just sort of did this weight and I was like, that felt pretty easy. Let's see what I can do on this weight. And I'd bench pressed 80 kilo for 5 reps, and it's the most I've ever done for 5 reps. So I think the most I'd ever done previously would have been like 70. And I thought 70 would be my limit, but 70 felt really easy. So I don't know. I'll just say maybe it's not all that much. Right. So my last one then is: are there any tips that you use for looking after your employees' mental health?
Do you know what? Although I kind of advocate mental health, I'll be completely honest. I'm not great at kind of recognizing when other people are struggling, or I'm not great at that kind of the softer side of the business, really. It's a good job we've got Rachel and Hannah, because they are excellent at kind of helping nurture people along like that. I'm very much, whilst I recognize that I need people around me to make things happen, I'm quite a kind of Lone Ranger, maverick character in some ways, and people are around me for the ride rather than me taking them along. It's just a different type of leadership, and it's leadership in the loosest sense of the word, I think.
Yeah.
More point people in the right direction. But I do, you know, especially if it's pointed out to me, I'm much better at kind of picking up with people, you know, just having a quiet word with people, and seeing if I can help them out, seeing if my experience can help just remove the stress or the pressure that they're feeling, because I probably have worked out how to, you know, solve a situation that they're struggling with, you know, multiple times before in multiple different ways, and that tends to help. I'm often the person that causes stress. I've got to be honest.
Well,
So
right. So what you've already told me is so you told me previously about when one of your staff members was struggling with the workload, and you said, like, to help and not get so overwhelmed, you sort of distributed the workload a bit better and give bits of it to other people so she wasn't overwhelmed.
Yeah, and that's so we have a client run through meeting every 2 weeks, where we look at the work that everyone's doing and what they've got on their plate and what they can manage, and then tasks are allocated accordingly. And people do tend to stick with specific clients, but you know, if someone's struggling, then we'll move it to somebody else. Also, Rachel created a team meeting process as well that we have. So we hold a kind of team meeting at the moment, while we're all working from home. We have a team meeting every 2 weeks, and that's a meeting in which we kind of ask everyone, how are you feeling? You know, what's going on? Is there anything we need to know? Are you enjoying what you're doing? Is your workload okay? How do you feel? And that's separate from the client run through meeting. So the client run through meeting is kind of very operational, whereas the team meeting is more about the kind of softer side of things. And sometimes I kind of try to get a bit more value out of it and steer it back towards towards kind of the work, but I do see the value in it.
Yeah, no, I think that's really good. I like it. But thanks for today. We're going to leave it there, and best of luck, and I hope you have a good day.
Thank you,
Cheers,
Marcus.
Dolly. Cheers. Right.